You are not saving enough to make a difference. The young man picked up another starfish and sent it spinning back to the water. I made a difference in that one, he said. We all make a difference every day, and I really appreciate Rotary and all that we do. Happy heavenly birthday to my dad, and I'd like to put $200 in the red bucket today in his memory. If he were here, I would be giving him a Home Depot gift card because he collected those like some people collect collectibles. So happy birthday, Daddy, and $200 in the red bucket.
That is so awesome, Nancy. And your dad has come up in our Rotary meetings often, and your mom, and what special people they were. Look what came out of that. Nancy Austin, our very special Rotarian. Next is our club secretary report. Troy Szymanski is our club secretary. He is also partner and fund manager of Outpost Fund. So Troy.
Thank you very much, President Debbie. First off, I want to thank all of the guests and potential new members we have joining us today. We're glad you could join us. Some birthdays, or rather, I should say one birthday. We would like to wish Chad Tyler, our membership committee chair, happy birthday later this week on March 6th. So send him a message, happy birthday from us. And then for announcements, next Wednesday, we have the normal Rotary Zoom happy hour in the evening at 5:30. So keep an eye out for the link. It'll be in the Tuesday meeting email blast. So look at the very bottom for the link to join that Zoom Rotary happy hour. Also, we want to announce that 9Health is looking for volunteers to help at the 9Health COVID vaccination sites. At least 10 volunteers at each site each day is desired. Volunteers can sign up to help in 4-hour segments, morning or afternoon, or a full day for the following volunteer opportunities: traffic control, checking temperatures, help filling out registration forms, and escort recipients through the process. To sign up, please email VP Services Team Lisa Gulliez or Mark Whipper with the following information. I'm going to include in the chat real quickly. These are the locations that they're looking for volunteers. So check out the chat, but you'll have a little bit more information for Lisa and Mark. There's a location, the dates you're available, and whether it's a morning or evening shift. It looks like they have dates from now all the way through May. So definitely reach out if you're interested in volunteering. And then the VPs of the services team will send your availability to our contacts at 9Health. If you have any questions, please email Lisa or Mark. A quick word from 9Health. The feedback from those who's already volunteered is very positive. It's rewarding to see how happy and relieved the recipients are after they get their shots. 9Health has high praise for Rotary and our commitment to this project. So thank you all for your efforts in this community service endeavor. That'll be all for me. President Debbie, back to you.
All right, thank you, Troy. What Troy just shared with you will also be in the meeting recap that goes out following the meeting. So you can look at it there and get more information and see the specific sites and times, etc. Okay, great. Our membership team VP Chad Tyler and soon to be birthday celebrant. Chad is also president and partner of Tyler Duncan Realty Partners and he's also here to introduce a transferring Rotarian, Jagdish Jagannath. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Chad.
Actually, President Debbie, I was prepared to introduce Les Volpe. So with our transferring Rotarian, maybe we can do a quick self-introduction.
Hi, I'm here. Did you want me to say something or?
Please, yes, say hi, tell us what you do, and tell us where you're transferring from.
Oh, hi, yeah, I think I was introduced a little bit earlier, but my name is Jagdish, and I'm coming in from LA 5. originally from Denver, went out to Los Angeles for work for about 16 years and coming back home to Denver. I'm in banking. So I do commercial banking and treasury management, and happy to be here and connected with a couple of Rotarians. Spoke with Debbie actually yesterday, and just happy to be here and happy to meet everyone. I've got to with her mom, so I'm out here on my own, but that's my deal.
Well, fantastic. It's an honor and pleasure to have you join our club.
Thank you. Honored to be here.
And Debbie, I'll go ahead and introduce Les Volpe. It's my pleasure to, shall I say, reintroduce Les Volpe. I'm going to surmise that many of you probably know Les, but Les is renewing his membership in the Downtown Denver Rotary Club after a brief hiatus. Prior to that, he'd been a member of the club for over 20 years. And he also was involved in a few committees, and most notably the Grants Committee. Les's career has been in the legal field and primarily in litigation. He is a fourth-generation Coloradian, and he and his wife, Barbara, have raised their 2 children here in Colorado, and they're currently helping their children raise his grandchildren. He has also spent many years providing funding, teaching, and coaching for high school students in Denver and elsewhere in the study of constitutional law. More specifically, this has involved a program called We the People, the Citizen, and the Constitution. This program is a national contest for constitutional debate by high school students, and it's conducted in all 50 states. He's worked with East High School students here in Denver, and that school has been the national champion of this competition at least 5 times. Les looks forward to meeting and working with many of our members, including those who he has known throughout his career here in Denver. Les, you want to say hi?
Well, Chad, am I audible?
Yes.
You are. Yes.
Okay, well, Chad, thank you very much for those comments, and happy birthday to you, sir.
Thank you.
As Chad indicated, I look forward to returning to an organization that does such wonderful work. I was just listening to Governor-designate Jim talking about all the things that he must now do as the district governor, but it isn't just locally that we do things locally, nationally, and internationally. A good example of that, of course, is our polio vaccination program worldwide. And it is wonderful to be back in this organization. I know so many of you. I look forward to working with you. And I can only say it's truly a pleasure to rejoin.
Thank you, Les. Back to you, Debbie.
All right, thank you. Well, it is my honor to welcome you back, Les. It's great to have you back. It is also my honor to welcome Jagdish, who is transferring from another club. But for both of you, I welcome you to our club. And as the president and as a board member of the Rotary Club of Denver, I'd like to welcome you both to Club 31. You have been accepted by the membership and board of directors of the Rotary Club of Denver to transfer your membership in one of the most prestigious service organizations in the world. You were selected because you and we Rotarians hold in common the humanitarian values of service, leadership, integrity, fellowship, and diversity. We invite you to engage in service opportunities, connect with fellow Rotarians in our club and beyond in order to promote peace and understanding and help us grow our club. By embracing these values, we are confident that you will continue to embody the true essence of a Rotarian through service above self. A special thank you goes out to Chad, Melly Kennard, Ved Nanda, and others who inspired Jagdish, and Les to join us today. Fellow Rotarians, please help me welcome our newest members with a virtual round of applause. Welcome, welcome. Great to have you both with us. Join us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Now I turn the microphone over to my dear friend and someone who I personally sponsored in the club, Elizabeth Ritter Seawalt. Elizabeth is a Denver Rotary Club Foundation board trustee. She's also a member of the Rotary Foundation Committee. So like Carter last week or the week before, and we had Virgil, where we've got representation of both committees, both foundations. Elizabeth will be doing the red bucket. Elizabeth is also the vice president and CEO of Berkeley Homes. So I will turn it over to you, Elizabeth. Unmute yourself. There you go.
Hello, there. I will finally get this figured out sometime. I don't know. But anyway, I'm glad to share in the Good News Red Bucket today. As you know, the minimum is $20. The maximum is whatever you want. And it really goes to our international foundation, which, as you all know, does a lot of great work worldwide. I'll start off by saying that, as some of you know, last year was a very challenging year for me and my family. And I'm starting out 2021 and things are looking great. And I would like to donate $100 for 2021 being a much better year, as I'm signed up Saturday to get my first COVID shot, which I'm happy about. And some great things are happening with my kids. My oldest, Aiden, is about to graduate from UCLA grad school there, and he has started a company with several other individuals. And April, they received their first $20 million of venture capital funding. So I'm really excited that's progressing. My middle son, Tristan, was accepted into CU Anschutz Medical School, and he starts this summer. And my youngest son, the challenging one, is going to graduate from CU in June, and his brother will have a job for him, which that makes me really happy that I might have all of them off the payroll for this year. So anyway, $100 to the red bucket. And Nancy, I'm glad that you contributed too. So let's open it up for other people to contribute.
I see a bunch of hands. I see Chuck Everell.
I think I'm
Howdy.
unmuted, and I would like to celebrate Jim Woodward. And Jim passed away recently, and many of our newer members will not have known Jim. He also suffered from dementia and Alzheimer's for the last decade plus. So we haven't had the real Jim for quite a while, but he was really a wonderful sense of humor individual. And he's a great Rotarian. And so I just tip my hat to Jim and a life well lived. And I'm happy to celebrate that moment of Jim Woodward.
I see Andre and then Jill.
So, yeah, behind me, you'll
wow.
see Crimson. And Crimson is from Guide Dogs for the Blind. And he's right now in Boring, Oregon. And on March 15th, he's flying to Denver. And my training will begin with Crimson. He is 2.5 years old. He weighs 70 pounds. He's very similar coloring to Pelham. And I'm absolutely ecstatic to get a new guide dog.
Thank you. How about you, Jill? I saw Jill.
I am going to give $78 in honor of my late father, who we lost a year ago yesterday. He was a proud Rotarian, and his birthday would have been March 7th. So there you go. Cheers to Dad.
Right. I'm looking. Anyone else? Oh, I thought I saw a hand and then I moved. Pete?
Jagdish.
Yeah, I would love to donate. I'd like to donate $50. I'm so happy to be here. It's a fantastic day for me. And thank you to all the Rotarians that welcomed me today. So would like to donate $50.
Thank you. Thank you. Pete, did you want to speak or are you just doing a thumbs up? Take yourself off mute. There you go.
Okay. I wanted to welcome my friend Les Volpe, who I've known for many years and as a colleague in the law field. And so welcome back, Les. And that's worth $50 at least.
All right.
Jim Wilkins.
Yes, I would like to donate $21 to celebrate the service dog that Andre's getting. This will be a big deal in his life, and I hope that Crimson will become a Denver Rotarian like his former dog.
Oh, I see. Oh, I see Les's hand up.
Am
Were you were saying hello?
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, I would like to say thank you to everyone who has given me congratulations upon my return, and I'd like to contribute $100 to the Red Bucket today.
This is Debbie. I would also like to donate in honor of a life well lived with Lee White also, and remembering her and thanking Jim for all his love and caring that he's given to this club over his many years. So thank you, Jim. And we are all remembering Lee. Anyone else? I'm looking. I think we're good. Did I miss anyone? Okay. Melly, did you want to say something?
Yes, I did. I would also like to give $100 in honor of Lee White. And the anniversary of her death first anniversary of her death was yesterday. And she is greatly missed by many, many people.
Nice way to wrap us up, Melly. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you all. A link will be available in the meeting recap. And if you've got that, Elizabeth, you can also put it in the chat as well for people. So that is great. We have a lot of great news to celebrate today. Now for our program introduction, I'd like to introduce Rick Luthold. Rick is our Meetings and Events Vice President. He's also an incoming Rotary Board of Director. He's also Chairman of Sanderson Stewart. So I will turn it over to you, Rick.
Thank you, President Debbie. I appreciate that. It's my great pleasure today to introduce Paul Andrews to the club. Many of you are familiar with and friends with Paul. As you know, he's CEO and president of the National Western Stock Show and Complex. And we have had a long history and relationship with the group there and enjoying the prospects of great rodeos and events. And, you know, a lot of us are familiar with the great things that are going on out there and improvements that are happening. I, for instance, live out on that end of town, get to drive by it and always marvel at the construction that's underway. Unfortunately, no stock show this year, looking forward to 2022, but we felt it of great importance to talk about one of the greatest stock shows on the planet and have Paul fill us in a little bit about how the pandemic has been impacting him and what we can look forward to as we look out to getting over this and back into real life. So with that, I'll turn it over to Paul, and you can post questions to the chat for Debbie to take care of later on. President Debbie and Paul, there you go.
Well, Rick, thank you. And President Debbie, let me be the first to inform you
you're riding on that stagecoach, or actually it's going to be the hitch, which is just like the stagecoach. When we get to the 2022 show, you have my guarantee. It's on the Zoom call right now, so everybody can see it. So thank you all for having me today, and thank you for the great work you all continue to do in the community and around the world. You know, Rotary is a special thing, and I think the Denver chapter sets the standard for everyone to attain. With that, I am going to start off once I get control here, which we practiced, we've worked on. We're going to see if this works, and it does right there. So I am Paul Andrews. I'm obviously the president and CEO of the National Western Stock Show and the complex here. I'm in my complex office right now, and appreciate all of you that are on the screen right now with your cowboy hats. If you can see my office, you can see I have 4 of them lined up behind me, but not one on my head, but I do have a bolo tie on, so I get extra points for that. So just a quick reminder of what the Western Stock Show Association is, who we are. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. We were founded in 1906 right here on the banks of Interstate 70 and the South Platte River. Probably Interstate 70 didn't exist at the time. We are the operator of the National Western Complex. I'm typically hosting about 200 plus events per year here, including the National Western in January. But obviously with the pandemic, and we're going to talk a lot about this, we didn't host any of those events here, and that has cost us dearly, unfortunately. We also support through our scholarship trust more than 110 students that are in college right now in Colorado and Wyoming. We give out $500,000 plus each year, and we will do that once again right here, even though the pandemic hit us pretty hard. We own the stock show, as I talked about. We also own Rodeo All-Star Weekend, which comes up in Denver every year, usually in April. Obviously, I've had to postpone it 2 years in a row now. We also own the Denver County Fair, which has been postponed as well. We are the most prestigious horse show in America. We have 12 of them, and they are the most well-attended horse shows of any place that you'll ever go. We are one of the top 4 rodeos in the world. The top 4 rodeos in the world by the experts are considered Denver, Houston, Fort Worth, and San Antonio. And so we're very proud to be in that category. We do 29 rodeo performances in the 16 days of the National Western Stock Show. And we are one of the largest, if not the largest, agricultural trade show in Colorado, with more than 900 booth spaces for you all to enjoy your shopping at each year. Let me, before I go to that, we want to go back one. I probably double clicked there. So, but I am going to run you a video today because I want to remind you of what the National Western is. And we are anchored by this. We are the Super Bowl of livestock shows. What does that mean? It means we have the most species of any livestock show in the country that are showing at our show. We have the most prestigious show. If you win our show, whether it's a cattle, whether it's a hog, whether it's a goat, whether it's sheep, llamas, alpacas, chickens, we got them all. If you win our show, you change your life as a livestock producer in this country. You become very popular, and lots of people will be buying from you in future years. So with that, I do want to run a little bit of a video since we were not able to run stock show this year, and just remind you of how special this place really is. Okay, well, that video always gets me excited every time I see it, and it is it's something that we hold very dear here, and I don't show it very often because we don't want to wear it out, but that really is a lot of history there. We're really the only ones that still do have a yard show where you can exhibit your cattle outside, have a rodeo, a horse show, and a trade show, and the Super Bowl of livestock shows. As you know, we're really the only ones that have kept all of those elements going, and a special place to be right here in Denver. And it's going to get even more special with the development of the National Western Center. These are the partners of the National Western Center. You can see CSU, us, and the city of Denver are partners on the complex here. I won't go into great detail here because we've done this before. I've kind of taken you through the site plan a little bit in years past, or actually in great detail. So I'll just remind you of the big elements that are in the site plan and what is opening this year. So to the upper right of that picture, number 4, that's the brand new yards where we will exhibit our livestock, mainly cattle, and they will be here. That yards will be open this year in 2022. And number 5 is the other building that will be open this year. It is about completed now. It's called the Stockyards Event Center. And the individuals in the yards will be able to use that building so they can display their cattle, they can run auctions in there, and they can have shows in there while they're displaying in the yards. So those elements open at the 2022 stock show, and those that makes the 2022 show a historic event, and your ticket will be worth a lot of money someday. So save your tickets to this next year's stock show, because that's a historic grand opening of those elements. 2 other elements that are flanking it to the upper part of the screen towards the river is the new Equestrian Center, and that building is still in design today. And next to it is the new Livestock Center, which is building number 8, and that building has begun design also. Number 14 is my new home, so I'll move out of these plush offices that I'm sitting in today. And I say that tongue in cheek, of course. If you saw our offices, I would guarantee you would not think they're plush. But we will move into the new Legacy building, which is the new home of the stock show. We'll be able to display all of our artifacts that have been saved since 1906. People can tour that. And we'll also have a brand new restaurant on the top floor called the National Western Club. And it will seat 700 people versus today, our little restaurant seats about 250. And CSU is flanking all of that. They are in buildings 10, 11, and 17 on this map. And they are doing 3 buildings. One focuses on animal health, the other focuses on water research, and the third focuses on food research. So that is a big snapshot of what's about coming here. And this development, as you see it, knock on wood, should be done by 2025, but I'll go into a little more detail on that as well. Who's doing what? Again, not going to spend a lot of time on this. Denver is the builder, okay? So they're building those buildings that we just looked at. National Western Stock Show, I've got a 100-year lease on the buildings for the National Western to occur, and we'll produce that. We'll produce Rodeo All-Star Weekend and the county fair, and we'll book all the equestrian and livestock events year-round on site. And we'll also be the independent owner of our building. CSU, they'll independently own their buildings, and as I said, they'll concentrate on water, animals, and food research. And lastly, the National Western Center Authority that has been formed, they will concentrate on February to December. So they'll be booking February to December. Right now, my staff and I do that, and we're going to give that over to the National Western Center Authority, and they will start doing that in the near future. So the COVID-19 impacts, they've been significant. So I'm going to go into what they are and talk to you a little bit about that. Our complex has been closed since March of 2020. So that is 1 full year. What I did in the interim after we closed in March due to social distancing and the inability to put people in an arena. And we own an arena, an expo hall, and several areas, and they all are predicated on people being next to each other. So the city approached me in April and asked if we would become a temporary shelter for the homeless. I agreed to that. When a city's in need, and reaching out to local businesses that can help them and have the ability to help them. I chose to do that, and my staff embraced that. So we opened up the expo hall. I had about 900 men a night in here, getting fed every morning and noon and night, and sleeping in here. We did that from about the end of April through September. So then the city had enough time to figure out exactly what they should be, where they could put those individuals in the interim, and they have since dispersed them to other facilities around Denver. I obviously had to reduce my staff. I reduced it by 60%. That's a horrible thing. Pre-pandemic, I was at 95 full-time employees. Today, I sit at 40. And as we start to open back up the complex with rules loosening up, hopefully in the near future, I'll be able to restaff up back to the levels I was pre-pandemic. And we did cancel Stock Show 2021 after much research with the government and ourselves, really. It's very difficult to put a stock show on with 700,000 people that come down to it, and they're coming from 42 different states. And some places in America that didn't even recognize a mask or social distancing, some rural communities, and would have been very difficult for them to embrace that in Denver, Colorado. And as a result of those meetings, we decided to move to next year's show in 2022. But because of that, we now have a viable threat. This will probably infuriate many of you, as it has us, but Oklahoma City and their governor, once we announced back in September of 2020 that we could not do the show in 2021, Oklahoma City within a week started a rival stock show and claimed that Denver abandoned the world of livestock by postponing our show due to COVID-19. Oklahoma did not recognize COVID-19 as a thing. And so they said, we're taking and starting our own cattle show. And frankly, most of the world of the livestock producers in these small towns didn't really care about COVID-19 either. And so they all hit Oklahoma City, and we are now in a battle for supremacy with them on the cattle side. They are only a cattle show. As you know, we are an everything show, livestock, but they are focusing on cattle. The advantage we have is they're doing it in a horse facility. So I'm not positive their business model can make it long-term. I would venture to say that it likely can't, competing with facilities that are built specifically for the cattle business and the livestock business versus trying to show your animals in a horse facility that has horse stalling. So although it is a threat, I'm confident over time we can overcome it, but there is a lot of talk in the market right now relating to that. Okay, we have had financial impacts due to COVID-19. We've lost $24 million in revenue to the organization. And even as a nonprofit, that hurts. The lost economic impact to Denver Metro was $120 million. Our vendors have been devastated. You might imagine that. The yearly income for many of our vendors are concessionaire, KM Concessions. They are in a very difficult financial situation. They haven't had the ability to serve anyone food. Our guest services that we do here on site, I hire, about 1,000 part-time people for guest services and other roles. They all don't have a job. All the rodeo contestants were impacted, as you might imagine. They can't do rodeo. The stock contractors that bring down their stock for rodeo as well as the livestock show. So there were a lot more people impacted due to this COVID-19 than many people might actually think of. The construction impacts of the pandemic on the actual site itself, it was somewhat of a benefit that there was no stock show to the construction. They would not have finished the yards in 2022 if stock show 2021 would have occurred. So that was the only silver lining here. So they're completing the infrastructure as we talked about, and we'll have the grand opening there. The pandemic did force us, though, and I say us, but this was really the city. It was a big impact on lodgers tax. So the city was unable to issue the final round of bonds that are needed to complete the design of the Livestock Center and Equestrian Center. So that has put the project behind by 1 year. The city just announced about a week and a half ago, for those of you that are reading the media every day, that they would now issue those bonds because they feel good about the backing of those revenue streams for those bonds. So that will get the project going again, but we are going to be a year behind. We were going to open in 2024 for the 2025 stock show in January. We are now going to open in 2025 with those great buildings for the 26 stock show. So here's a couple pictures of what the buildings that are about to open up will look like. You're looking at the new yards. Obviously, they don't have asphalt on them yet, but they will very soon. Right now, the building you see right there is called the Stockyards Event Center. That building is 100 yards long. So that is the center of the yards that you're looking at right there with that building wrapped around it. That building, I'll remind you, has a few show arenas in it, and it has an auction arena. And here's kind of the inside pieces of that as we're getting going here. That just kind of a pretty great view out of that window that you can see up top there, heading towards the mountains. So this is really going to be a celebrated building for our livestock producers. And the grand opening of that will likely be this June. You'll see a ribbon cutting, and we'll be preparing the yards at that point for the 2022 show and the ribbon cutting of that soon after. So we decided as a staff, we didn't want to be lazy during the months of January that we were not able to do the show. So we did 16 days of service. Our show is 16 days, in case any of you are wondering why I chose 16 days of service. Stock show has always been 16 days, at least for the last 30 or so years. And so we partnered with fellow nonprofits, and we went out in the community and worked with them and various projects, the Children's Hospital. We did neighborhood litter cleanup around here. We did some equine therapy programs, and we went to food banks and others. So that garnered a lot of attention in the media, and we felt good about serving others in their time of need here as well. We also hosted 16 days of virtual events. We called it Honoring the Legacy, keeping kind of the stock show front and center. We had concerts online every night. We did other things virtually like that. I did hold a Catch a Calf show here on site because we could, even during the pandemic. No one but the kids in here showing their animals and having one judge judge them. So that Catch a Calf program is a program we own as stock show. And these are for kids that caught an animal at the previous stock show, and then they bring them here after raising them all year to be judged and shown. And we really felt necessary to get that done for sure, even in a year where we couldn't have the full show. And we had our Cruise Western Art Show and Sale. That went great. We raised more than $400,000 to go to the Scholarship Trust with that. So a lot of artists were happy, and a lot of people were excited to support the Scholarship Trust also. So how are we going to rebound in 2022? Great question. We're slowly starting to open the complex for events. Right now, we can have 50 people in a room. That's starting to get increases. We're applying for the things that get you to 100 and 175. But our business plan, just so you all know the assumptions I've made here, I have made an assumption that we can go to full capacity from November on. So if that's not the case, even though all my health officials that are on my board are telling me everyone that wants that vaccine is going to have it by the end of July. So we'll see if they're right, and we can be at full capacity by the time November gets here. I am right now in the Colorado legislature. I have a proposal in front of them for funding us for $3.5 million. We've never been funded in our 114-year history, but we've never been closed for a year. So we've been kicking off $120 million of economic impact a year every year. I think it's time that we just get a little bit back from our state. And so I have proposed that to them, and they are considering that now. We're also applying for the shuttered venues money. And if we get that, it will be possibly somewhere between $7 and $10 million. And that will fill the gap to get us to Stock Show 2022 and start bringing the revenues in that January brings, which, by the way, is about 90% of our annual income comes in January. So, and I'm also in our business plan, I'm assuming a very well-attended stock show. We've done more than 700,000 people for 4 years in a row. I'd like to see that trend continue. So hopefully people will feel safe out here. Certainly we will have the cleanest venue in America. We pride ourselves on that. And I can assure you that will be the case, and hand sanitizers everywhere as we always have. So this is, I believe, my last slide, and then I'll open it up for questions. But January 8th to 23rd is our show. And we'll again see the grand opening of the new stockyards. You're going to see the Stockyards Event Center open. You're going to see 50 plus breeds of animal that will be here at the Super Bowl livestock shows, 29 rodeos, elite horse shows, and the usual acres of shopping that I know all of you enjoy. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. I was told to be done at 12:50 and it's 12:47, so I've left you even 3 more minutes to pound me with any questions you might like. And
Well, yeah, thank you so much, Paul. I have those dates in my calendar for next year. I have, my husband and I have been going to the stock show since I moved here, and just love it. So I'm excited. And we do have a number of questions that came to me through chat. So let me share those with you. To exhibit at the stock show, do you need to qualify by winning at the county or state fair?
Actually, no, you basically have to have confidence enough to, when our entries open up, enter your animal. So we love Colorado entries, by the way. Some Coloradans feel like it's very difficult to compete here with, the 40 other states that are bringing their best animals. So, but yeah, we encourage entries, and if we get maxed out, we get maxed out, and we let people know. That usually happens in the hog show. We can only accept 500 hogs, and we get about 2,000 hogs apply across the country because this is such a prestigious hog show as well. But good question.
Have other stock shows, such as the one you mentioned in Texas, so you talked about San Antonio, Dallas, were they impacted by the pandemic?
Horribly impacted. I'm on a call with them every 2 weeks, and Fort Worth, which basically overlaps us by 1 week, and we're great partners with them. They had to postpone their show as well. So both us and Fort Worth had to postpone. Houston was at the front end of the pandemic in last March. They made it about 4 days and had to cancel their show. It devastated them. They lost about $60 million in revenues. And so, and as we head to 2021 here that we're in, Houston has announced they cannot go forward with their rodeo. They're just doing some showing of their livestock with nobody in attendance. So again, that business model doesn't work in our business. We got to have lots of people that are having fun, eating, drinking, and enjoying agriculture here on site. So San Antonio went forward with a very small show, and it's just ending now. But they also got hit right in the middle of all the power outages in Texas, so they couldn't really do much of their show, even though they had planned on it. So yeah, there's been great devastation across the show business, but we're tough, and we're all going to bounce back.
I have full faith. Another question, is there a way the community, including our Rotary Club, can support the stock show since there has been such a big impact from the pandemic?
Yeah, I would say this, probably a lot of you would think, can we make a donation? Obviously, we're a 501c3, but I just encourage you to make sure you're at the stock show in 2022. That will help us a lot. And if you know legislators, this bill is in front of them. And, keeping us healthy as a 114-year institution in the state of Colorado, I think is pretty important. And the $120 million a year we kick off in economic impact for Denver Metro, I again think is important. So I think Rotarians could really help us. If you're friends with any of our legislators, impress upon them the importance of keeping the stock show healthy, get that 3.5 million through, and get us some help.
All right, the last question I had, unless there's others that pop in, and you talked about this, how the pandemic afforded the stock show some flexibility with some of the buildings and the construction. What about the CSU buildings? Have they been moving forward on schedule?
So the beauty of CSU is they were fully funded from day one for all three of their buildings. So they are flying. Those of you that it would be worth driving by here sometime, just down Brighton Boulevard and stop at the commuter rail stop there, and you can overlook the whole development. CSU has 3 buildings that are already, the steel is up for all 3 of them. They are flying. So they're going to be done with their animal health building before the 2022 stock show. So they'll be doing their grand opening of that building. And then the other one, the CSU Center, the Water Resource Center, that's really a partnership with Denver Water and CSU. That one is very close behind. So it will be, if it's not open by stock show, it'll be darn close. And their third building will be just in 2022. So they are going to be really the toast of the town on site here when 2022 comes, because they'll be fully complete with all those buildings. And obviously they're a great partner of ours. So.
All right, a couple more questions have come in, so let me make sure I'm covering them all. And we got a couple of thank yous. Great film. That film was incredible, the video. Here's a question. How did the Oklahoma Cattle Show go? Did you attend? What do you think will happen in January 2022?
So we chose not to attend. We felt like we would be more of a distraction there than a help. And remember, we were excited actually that there was going to be a place that our longtime exhibitors had to go in January when you couldn't do it in Denver. Okay. So we were not displeased with Oklahoma City at the time. We were under the impression they were a 1-year replacement show, however, not to become a competitor. And now that they've decided, if you follow their media, which none of you probably do, but I do, their governor has come out and their legislature has said Denver abandoned the livestock industry and we're Oklahoma and we're not going to abandon them. And they just passed $1 million worth of prize money to put up for the Oklahoma show. And how well attended was it? It was about half the attendance of the National Western Stock Show for the cattle exhibitors. So there was no general public allowed to come. That's not what this is. It's just a show for people that are showing animals. So no public is allowed in. And their numbers were half on the cattle side that Denver typically does in any given year. So my question would be to Oklahoma in this case, besides, acting like our state hates agriculture and all the things they want to do. My question would be, okay, you're about to run your show in a time period when both Denver and Fort Worth last year were not going. We weren't options. We're both going in 2022, and Oklahoma City's right over top of both of us. So let's see who's going to win that. I think 114 years here and 125 in Fort Worth, going to be pretty tough to compete with, but we shall soon see.
We shall. And some additional questions have come in, so I'm going to go through those too. Square up our National Western's exciting future with Governor Polis's positions on Meet Out Day and appointing Ellen Kessler to the State Board of Veterinary Medicine.
Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. Let me just answer that by saying this, because I typically don't get into politics very often, just because it's not something we do as an organization. But what I did say in the media when I saw the proclamation for Meat Out Day. My response was I was very, very disappointed in the proclamation, as you would think I would be, and that we would be partnering with the Colorado Cattlemen's Association for their Meat In Day that they will be having on March 20th. And my quote was something to the effect of, I'm having bacon and eggs for breakfast, a hamburger for lunch, and a T-bone for dinner that day. So my menu is set, and I'm very much looking forward to it. And that's all I'll say. Appointments that the governor makes as far as vets and the rest of that, I really shouldn't comment on. I'm supportive of whoever is going to be in various positions there.
Yeah, we did have a couple questions come in about that no meat day. So that's interesting. What is the bill citation that you talked about so that we can contact our legislators?
Well, I don't know that it has a number yet. It's just being talked about behind closed doors. The legislators got a letter from me about a month ago outlining our couple-page letter outlining our situation. And the Speaker of the House has come forward and told me very plainly that he is going to help. And so be paying, I guess I'll be paying close attention, but those of you that are interested in following that, it's likely going to be some economic stimulus part of what the legislature is doing. And it will call out either support of shows that are agriculturally related, or it may say specifically the National Western Stock Show. So yeah, I don't have a bill number yet, but it'll soon be coming.
All right, and you can reach out to me and I can share it with the club when
Okay.
when you do find that out. All right.
All right, you bet.
And our last question, can you talk a bit more about the art show?
You bet. So the Coors Western Art Show and Sale has been going now for about 27 years. And it's a show in which two things happen. Number one, it's the greatest Western art show, I would say, in the Western United States. Now, I might be biased, but I can tell you even art lovers would suggest that's the case. And there were about 80 artists in any given year. And we raise money through their art sales for the National Western Scholarship Trust and for that artist. So when you're supporting the Coors Western Art Show and Sale, you're supporting the artist with a percentage of that money so they can keep painting great art. And you're supporting the Scholarship Trust, and we're supporting more than 110 students, as I said earlier. So this year it had to be done virtually. Usually it's on site here the week before Stock Show. And it's just blossomed into an amazing, amazing show. And to raise over $400,000 in art sales in a pandemic and virtually, I think my hat's off to the committee that runs that. And just a very treasured asset here at the National Western Stock Show.
Yeah, for sure. It's really amazing. Well, Paul, it's been such an honor to have you here. I'm a big fan of the Stock Show, as you know. And in honor of you speaking with us today, we have made a donation to Polio Plus to end polio across the world. So 33 children will be inoculated, but with the Bill and Melinda Gates 2-for-1 match, that actually means 100 children will be inoculated against polio. It's interesting, Rotary's being asked more and more about best practices in terms of vaccination. You might have heard that we are helping the 9 News, which used to do health fairs, do vaccination clinics. So a lot of good synergy there. So thank you again.
Thank you, President Debbie. And we have a vaccination clinic coming up this Saturday here. 5,000 people in my complex getting vaccinated. Ought to be great.
Yes, good job. Well, thank you so much. And so next week's meeting will be a week from today. Ian Campbell will be leading that meeting. And the topic will be Malaria Partners International working with Rotary in Africa. Our speaker will be Clayton Taylor, principal of C. Taylor Group, LLC. With that, please join me on the 4-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And with that, y'all, we are adjourned. Thank you.